Okay, good evening everybody. Please let me know if you can hear me properly. Okay, Mr. Ansari say yes. Okay, good. As you know, this is week 8 and this is the deadline for assignment. I just checked my email. Most of the groups have sent. If you didn't send your group assignment yet, make sure you send it by today. Then you won't get any penalty in terms of delaying assignment submission. Thank you to all of the groups that they already have sent. Make sure when you submit the assignment in the email by itself, beside the attachment, you will mention the name of the group leader as well as all of the group members. One more time for making sure there is no name which is going to be ignored or neglected. Thank you so much. Let's start chapter 8. Again, as far as we just have 4 students in the class, one more time I will announce the whole thing at the end of the class. And just one more thing, as you know, any delay in terms of submission of assignment will cost any group 25%, except the explanation that we had last week, but this is how it's going to work. This is chapter 8, LE Contingency Theories of Effective Leadership. So we are going to discuss about all of these LE contingency theories of effective leadership. Again, it will be a huge review of lots of different theories. For us, the main purpose is just getting to know all of these theories, at least by name, and having some discussion in terms of each. Our learning objective will be why it is necessary to consider the leadership situation when studying leadership. Understand how aspects of situation can enhance or diminish the effects of leader behavior. Understand how aspects of the situation can serve as a substitute for the influence of formal leaders. And the primary contingency theories of effective leadership will be discussed as well. The conceptual weakness of each contingency theory will be understood after this chapter, as well as findings from empirical research on contingency theories and the limitation of these researches, as well as the implication of situational theories for improving leadership, and at the end, the limitation of the research on contingency theory more or less will be discussed and explained. So first, let's talk about LPC Contingency Theory, which is least preferred coworkers theory. This is one of the basic rates of how you see the whole environment. LPC is standing for least preferred coworker. LPC score high LPC shows that a leader primarily motivated to have close interpersonal relationship with other people. Means in this scale of LPC, it is in higher range or higher scale. Low LPC on the other side is exactly vice versa, which means a leader primarily motivated by achievement of task objective, not relationship orientation. If you remember previous time, we were talking about different approaches that leadership, the basic theories of leadership, and we were discussing two main axes of most of these leadership theories about how much they're taking care of productivity or task, or job or objective, and how much they're taking care of relationship, human, and basically people. So there were two main axes, more or less in different theories. They were called differently, but at the end they have the same concept. Situational variables. There are these situational variables in this LPC contingency theory: leader-member relation, how this relation works, position power of the leader by himself, and task structure. How is the structure of the task? Because it's really important that you're dealing with a very professional, detailed job or something which is less structured. So that is also influence. There are some LPC propositions or propositions. In this table, as you can see, relationships in the LPC's contingency model. We have different octants, 1 to 8, L-M relationship, which is leader and basically the relationship which is there. Good, as you can see. And task structure, how the task structure is going to be. And at the end, position power and effective leader. So you may have 8 different possibilities, as well as we have for each of these 4 main variables, we have 2 possibilities. So you will get 8 different possibilities simply because of this main reason. Okay, so any of these can happen. You may have condition 1, which is LM relationship very good, task structure, position power strong, effective leader low, leader position for LPC or the one that we were just saying. So this is different type of LPC propositions. Just for making it clear, we go further and you can see more. Causal relationship in LPC. What is that causal relationship? Causal variables, leader LPC scores plus other mediator. As you can see, the first box here is it can be the main input, and then what will happen to this input or that independent variable that is going to end up in this dependent variable. But in between there are some moderators as well that we call them moderator variables because they can affect this relationship from this causal variable to this end result variable. Okay, so leader LPC score, like how leaders see the relationship with followers, whether he's more structure oriented, task oriented, or relationship oriented, as one side. There are some situational moderator variables. You can see leader-member relationship that we just explained here, LM relationship. We have task structure, position power, and effective leader. They are all different situational variables or moderators. It means they can influence the relationship between independent and dependent variable. And at the end, we have this group performance, which is the other side or dependent variable or the result of this relationship. As you can see, causal relationship in LPC contingency model is a very simple model. We have some independent variables, some dependent variable, and some moderators. These moderators definitely influence this relationship, and we have some causal variables, end result variables, and situational or moderator variables. LPC contingency model, and continue with that. There are some different researches on that theory. Research tends to support most covariance in the model based on correlational results and weights, and the different situational variables are combined. So there are 3 different insights on the researches that have been done on theories. Conceptual weaknesses, LPC score and measure in a research of a meaning. You see, when you're talking about leakage scale, it's not a real data, real number. It's actually we call them the kind of number that they are not parametric, they are non-parametric. So that is part of the problem. So you don't exactly have real number. This is scale. So meaning is just showing the range. Descriptive, not predictive. It can explain, but it cannot help us to forecast future or how it's going to work in future. Neglect the medium LPC leaders who probably outnumber high or low. As you can see in most of the previous tables over there, we have either high or low. You can see strong or weak. We don't have middle range, which is average approach. For example, you can see here LM relationship is whether good or poor, structure or unstructured, strong or weak, low LPC or high LPC. You don't have a medium LPC or anything like that. That's why that can be another basically limitation of that certain LPC contingency model. So let's talk about the other theory, which is past goal theory of leadership. This theory is another theory related to contingency theories. The motivational functions of leader consist of increasing personal payoffs of subordinates for work goal attainment and making the path to these payoffs easier to travel by classifying it, reducing roadblocks and pitfalls, and increasing the opportunities for personal satisfaction with the leader. So as you can see, past goal theory perfectly can be explained in this quotation. As you can see, the motivational function of leader consists of, so we're talking about how a leader does the job. There are some motivational function behind that they are all including increasing personal payoff and help you to do a better job to subordinates for the work that they can attain, and making it possible to be done by making it easier, travel by clarifying, reducing roadblocks, pitfalls, and so on. And the other side, increasing opportunity for personal satisfaction with the leader. So this past goal theory, which is taking care of goal as well as path to reach the goal, is another basically theory of leadership, which is significantly important and is going to influence on both sides. Not only goal, path as well. Like how you're reaching those paths by helping, reducing pitfalls and problems, creating or finding opportunities, as well as taking care of the relationship that you have with the leaders and so on. Explanatory process, expectancy theory under this past goal theory is this. Leader behavior. Behavior of leader can be any of these: supportive leadership, directive leadership, participative leadership, or achievement-oriented leadership. Any of these four possible behaviors can happen to leader, or leader can have any of these. Besides that, we have situational variables. Like the previous models, these situational variables will act as a moderator. Moderator means they can influence the relationship between individual, independent, and dependent variables. So situational variable for past goal theory are task characteristics as well as subordinate characteristics. Means no matter what leadership behavior we have, one of the ways that we can make the things done, and one of the actually factors that can influence again how leaders are going to make sure that the subordinates are following and make things done, is how is the task structure as well as subordinate characteristics. So these two are two other important factors in the whole thing. Past goal causal relationship. As you can see, this is the how we can show this past goal theory. You have the causal variable, which is leader behavior, which can lead to another mediator factor. You see, when we have this relationship like this, it's between independent and dependent variable. A variable like this, we call this mediator variable. And when we have like this, which is on the box on below, it will be a moderator variable. So as you can see, causal variables, leader's behavior, can tend to be an intervening variable, subordinate experience and basically valence. And after that, you will have end result variables, which is subordinate effort and satisfaction. So, but these relationships can again be influenced by characteristics of past environment as well as subordinate. So, what type of subordinate you have, as well as what type of job you're dealing with, that can definitely influence the subordinate experience and balance. And at the end, subordinate effort and satisfaction will be the result of this basic relationship, this causal relationship. So as you can see here, as I explained just for you, this relationship is simply causal because we have different independent variables turning to different variables, coming up with the final dependent variables, and this one is affecting that. So this is one of the most typical general approaches toward the whole leadership. Past goal theory major propositions. You look at figure A3 and A4. The first one is causal relationship for effects of supportive leadership on subordinate, and the next one is causal basically relationship for effects of directive leadership on. So see, we are talking about two types of leadership and how they're gonna influence the final effort at the end. So if your behavior of leader is different, we have different processes. In the first one, subordinate leadership, you will have basically reduce burden and make job more tolerable, and you have on the other side increase the intrinsic valence of work or capacity of work. On the other side, you have increased self-confidence and low basically anxiety and increased effort performance expectancy. And at the end, you will have increase. This is when your leadership is supportive. But when your leadership is directive, means the leader act as a director, the story is going to be a little bit different. As you can see, you have reduced role ambiguity because the leader will say exactly what to do, increase the effort performance expectancy, increase subordinate effort. And however, we increase size of incentives. Again, leader acts as a controller and using the reward power to give higher incentives. So again, increase outcome valence for as success, increase subordinate effort. Another way will be a strengthen reward contingency again, which is more or less like top part, increase performance reward expectation, and this. So this is how Pascal theory is going to work on different major propositions. We already talked about supportive and directive leadership. You may have others as well, like the one that we just added on top. In continuing with Pascal theory, we have research. Let's understand, make sure that you're mute. Research on theory, mixed result. Definitely, the research on theory came up with this conclusion that there are not a specific type of result that we can get at the end. There are so many different results. As far as the behavior of the leader is going to be different basically in this theory. And there are some conceptual weaknesses as well. For any theory, there are some conceptual weaknesses. For previous theory, we explained how. For this theory, will be reliance on expectancy theory very much. Expectancy theory, as you remember, that what you expect from the environment and then the work job and the leader and then all things happening could definitely influence your job, effort, and so on. And that this is highly attributed to expectancy theory here. So that is one of the weaknesses. Reliance on broad categories of leader behavior. It gives you different options. It makes it a little bit weakened simply because you don't have 2 + 2 = 4. So you can get different situations, and that makes it a little bit loose. That is another weakness. Questionable hypothesized relationship. That is another part of this hypothesized relationship in terms of like necessary with directive, for example, leader behavior, whether we get necessary the next result. So you see, hypothesis that you have can be any of this relationship. You can create any of these like hypothesis, whether reduce burden of, for example, and make burden and make job more tolerable is necessary, increase the intrinsic valence. These are all different basically hypotheses, and they are, some of them can be questioned. Not necessarily they're going to end up being the same way that in this causal relationship we explained. So that is another weakness. And at the end, considering each type of leadership behavior separately, so it doesn't have that comprehensive approach. That makes it a little bit loose as well. So far we talk about different weaknesses of Pascal theory as well. The next one, situational leadership theory. We talked about this a little bit before. Do you remember the time that in previous chapters we were talking about how basically leaders behave in different situations based on how the little or much amount of behavior that they have, as well as two axes, as you can see, the follower maturity. High follower maturity, you don't really need to basically you have to have a certain type of relationship with them. That task behavior that you can see here as this line, and as well as the follower maturity as one of the axes. On the other side, amounts of behavior that you want to have for different occasions is showing this leadership theory, prescribed level of behavior in the situation leadership theory. Let's go further and explain it more. Leadership substitutes theory substitutes and neutralizers for supportive and instrumental leaders. So, substitute or neutralizers. Group A, subordinate characteristic. How the subordinate characteristic is in terms of experience, ability, training, professional orientation, and in difference toward rewards. That definitely has a different type of prescribed supportive leadership. As you can see, for first one, substitute, neutralizer. Instrumental leadership on the other side have this basically two options here as well. So we have task characteristic and organizational characteristic as well. How job is working, how organizational basically characteristic is all about. So different combination of supportive leadership and instrumental leadership is going to be developed. As you can see, for each of these A, B, C category, we have different possibilities. And for each sub possibility, there is one prescription. As you can see in front, for example, last one, dispersed subordinate work side, supportive leadership will be neutralizer, and instrumental leadership, neutralizer. For example, cohesive work group, substitute supportive leadership, substitute leadership, instrumental leadership as well. So this substitute and neutralizer for supportive and instrumental leadership is based on Kerr and Jeremiah in 1978, which is not a new theory. Look at this multiple linkage model. As you can see here, we have a specific leader behavior, what leader has in his mind, what type of leadership we have, whether directive, supportive, involved, or not, all of those things. And we have situational variables that we're talking about them. We call them neutralizers as well. Why we call them neutralizers? Because usually these neutralizers affecting the relationship between independent and dependent variable. It can intensify it or it can reduce it. In intervening variables, subordinate affair, roles, clarity, and task skill, organizational work, cohesiveness and cooperations, resource and support service, and external coordination. This is one of the intervening variables. We have these situational variables as well that affects these intervening variables. So we call them substitutes because they're going to influence the whole thing here. And we have some situational variables here as well, which is affecting the relationship, this independent variable and this dependent variable. For the whole process, the second box works as a mediator factor. But between this and this box, situational variables also can influence. There can be other variables that can intensify this relationship between these two or reduce it as well. So all of these situational variables, whether they are substitutes or they are neutralizers or any type of situational variable that you can see here, in this causal relationship multiple linkage model can be seen. Very simple. What I'm trying to say here is it's not necessarily like leader, intervening variable, criteria of unit of effectiveness. We have leader having this situational variable and this result. And we have leader, this leadership, intervening variables, why these moderators are working, and this result. We have this plus this affecting being converted to this, again this affecting to this, but on the way this one is going to affect. So you see, you have all of these multiple approaches toward the linkage possible among all of these theories. Conditions affecting the intervening variables in multiple linkage model. There are different type of conditions that you may have. You can see it here all, and definitely you will have different situations that is high. For example, let's see these conditions that are affecting the intervening variable in the model. There are certain conditions that can influence our intervening variables. Intervening variables, as you remember here, there are these intervening variables, as you can see the second box: subordinate effect, role clarity, organization path, cohesiveness, resource, and external coordination. So here, as you can see, these there are some conditions that affect that. First of all, let's talk about different type of intervening variable. First is subordinate effort and commitment. How this intervening variable can be affected? The conditions were already high: interesting, challenging, intrinsically motivating tasks. Subordinates have strong work ethic values. Crisis where failure will be costly to subordinate. This is the condition. And situations are most important: complex, labor-intensive work regarding high subordinate initiatives and persistence, and also high exposure tasks for which mistakes are very costly. So we're talking about this intervening variable, which is subordinate effort and commitment. These are the conditions that where we have that in high, and these are the situations where mostly this situational variable is going to be important. We have another intervening variable called subordinate ability role clarity. Okay, and condition where already this one is high, subordinates have extensive prior training and experience. Organization provides detailed formal rules and procedures, and work is highly automated. So these are the situations that this one can work the most important work. Work on unit has complex, difficult tasks with unit aspects. Work requires a high degree of technical skill by subordinate. High exposure tasks for which mistakes are very costly. And frequent changes in priorities or schedule due to clients and users, and work is subject to unpredictable disruptions and crises. Let me come to Mr. Nuristani. I think something says, sir, can we see that those variables could be used sometimes as resistance factor? Can you explain more on your question? What do you mean by resistance factor? Yeah,
hello?
You want to talk, Mr. Nuristani? Yes, okay.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Mr. Nuristani.
Sir, how are you, sir? I hope my class fellows are doing good, sir. My question was, sir, like in the previous slide in multiple-linkage model, intervening variables, sir. I was talking about those variables like subordinate efforts, role clarity, and task skills, and like subordinate efforts. Like sometimes we give an instruction to our subordinates, and he is showing some kind of resistance or discouraging himself towards that particular task, or we are giving him another work outside his job description, sir. So that was I meant, sir, by some kind of resistant factors, intervening variables could be used sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, what you're explaining is right. You see, leader behavior, you may have different leader behavior, and whatever that leader behavior is, you may end up having some mediator factors in between to reach the criteria of effectiveness at the end. So if your behavior is going to be in a way that cause a better clarity and task skills, for example, definitely that ends up making help the subordinate to do the job better. But what you just said was maybe it's subordinate is going to resist it for any reason. That can come under, for example, category of maybe subordinate effort. Maybe subordinate doesn't really want to put enough effort. So again, you can use other situational variables like incentives or other stuff to be able to make him more interested to do the job, and at the end get the effectiveness that you're talking about. Is that all right, Mr. Rustan? Did you understand my explanation? Okay, thank you so much. So yes, actually, as a matter of fact, the reason why do we have all of these situational variables here and here in all of these different positions is because you may need some more basically help to be able to get what exactly you were looking for. Because not necessarily leader behavior is going to reach to this, and then after second level, we reach the final level. So you may need some basically additional variables to help you, so as I told you, intensify some of this relationship or decrease some of this relationship for the good sake of the organization. So cooperations and basic cooperations and teamwork is another intervening variable. As you can see, the last one, the condition when this is already high, it will be the group has a stable, homogeneous, compatible relation membership. Members have shared goal consistent with task objective, as well as work unit has a strong tradition that evoke pride of membership. And the situation where most important actually is task roles in the work unit are highly interdependent, so you really need this cooperation. Subordinates share scarce equipment or limited facility. Again, you need high cooperation and teamwork. And subordinates work together in close proximity for long time. Again, cooperation and teamwork is going to be highly effective. So these are different conditions that affect the intervening variables that we were discussing in the last two slides in the multiple linkage model, for short, to be able to reach to a better result. Other intervening variables that we're discussing can be organizational of work and performance strategies, resource needed to do the work, and external coordination. For the first one, as you can see, the condition where this one is already high is organization specified optimal way to structure the work. So that definitely organizational work and performance strategies for it is highly strategized. Subordinates have extensive prior training and experience. And again, in situation when this one works the best, or this is the most important, is work unit has a complex and difficult mission. This organization and performance strategy is going to be really helpful. Work unit has several diverse tasks, or we can say need coordination. Again, organization and performance strategy is going to be really helpful. And high exposure tasks for which mistakes are very costly. Again, for this type of thing, when any mistake can cause you serious problems, you definitely need to have this intervening variable, which is organizational work and performance strategy in the maximum possible best way. Resource needed to do the work is the next intervening variable. The condition where this is already high is organization provides adequate resource as needed, and organization has good inventory control systems of material. And situation where most important this is will be the work requires large amounts of scarce resources. That's why you need to come up with the best resourcing possible. And work unit is highly dependent on unreliable source of supply. Again, resources needed to do the work. The last one that we're going to discuss here is external coordination. Organization has a structure mechanism for achieving lateral coordination. This is the first condition when this is already high and external coordination is done by higher management or other people in the organization. This is again another situation where this intervening variable is highly significant. It's already high. The situations that this the last intervening variable is going to work will be any of these three. First, work until has high lateral work unit has high lateral interdependence with other units in the same organization. Frequent changes in priorities or schedule due to client demands. And you can see there are different type of condition that may happen to organization. So that's why the situation that you're talking about, they're very varying from each other. Work unit is highly dependent on unreliable sources of supply. This is again another one. I can see Mr. Mahmoud Aryan is reading some. Okay. Okay, this is a private message, so just give me some time to see exactly what this gentleman is all talking about. Yeah, as far as every group, members are gonna be make sure that the group leaders is sending the assignment today. There should be no problem. So make sure that by today you are sending it. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is about different conditions that they actually affect the intervening variables in the multiple linkage model that we were discussing in prior slides. Let's talk about leader actions to deal with deficiencies in intervening variable. Leader can have different type of actions to basically find out if there is any deficiencies in these intervening variables that they are significantly important. These actions of leader can be categorized in this category, as you can see. First, subordinates are apathetic or discouraged about the work. Means apathetic means they're not really willing to do the job. They don't care, and they're discouraged about the work. So when you have this type of subordinate, most probably this is how you have to make them motivated to take care of all of those intervening variables. Set challenging goals and express confidence subordinates can attain them. This is highly related to what Mr. Nuristani was asking kind of in advance as well, and in the last 2-3 slides, and I just explained. Again, if you don't have these intervening variables in the way that you want them, so how you can change them? So as you can see, the first one is this: articulate an appealing vision of what the group could accomplish or become. This is again another way that you can give more encouragement to your subordinate and make it possible for them to do a better job. Use rational persuasions and inspirational appeal to influence commitment. Lead by example. Examples are going to be really helpful. Use consultations and delegations. Delegation of authority is one of the most common ways that leaders or managers try to create some more responsibilities as well as applications among employees and make them do things, provide recognition if they're doing something important or worthwhile. Recognize that and show them that you are appreciating any positive actions. Reward effective behavior. Rewarding is one of the most common, again, ways of encouraging any positive basically performance. So this is how leaders have to act if their subordinates are apathetic, discouraged, or maybe unwilling to do the job. If subordinates are confused about what to do or how to do the job, different actions of leader is needed. First, make clear assignments. This is really important. Tell them what you want them to do. What is the main goal? How you're going to reach that? And all of those things. So make clear assignments. Set specific goals and provide feedback about performance. If they're doing wrong thing, tell them immediately. Then they can do amendments which is necessary. Provide more directions of ongoing activities. Again, give them concurrent or simultaneous feedback based on what you're doing now. Provide instruction or coaching as needed. If they need some instruction or coaching, do that. This is again help them. If they're confused, means they don't really know what to do and what is the right way of doing the job. So instruction and coaching is going to be again significant. Identify skill deficiencies and arrange for necessary skill training. Assess your employee, find out what is wrong in terms of their skill or experience. If you find out based on your assessment there are some deficiencies to be filled or there are some gaps to be taken care of, make sure that you're providing necessary skill training for them. And at the end, recruit and hire skilled people to work in unit. usually having high experience, skillful workers not only will help the whole organization to work better, it will help other confused employees to do their job better as well. Because they're going to look at the other employees that are more experienced and do the job in much easier way, so they will be more motivated and also capable of doing the job. So this is another set of actions that leaders have to do if their subordinates are confused. And we have another condition here. The group is disorganized or it uses weak performance strategies. Now we're talking about disorganized version of the whole leader, basically group, the group that leader is dealing with or manager is dealing with, and basically poor strategies that they may use for making their things done. So definitely that is another problem with deficiency or pitfall or gap to be filled. The actions that leaders have to do in these type of occasions are these. First, develop plans to accomplish objectives. The strategies, goals, visions have to be all clear to be able to give the group a clear message of objectives. The second one would be identify and correct coordination problems. If there is any problem in terms of coordination, we definitely need to take care of that. It's highly related to organization of the group. So this is another action that can be done. Recognize activities to make better use of people, resources, and equipment. So the best activities that can help us to exploit our resources, human resources, normal resources, as well as equipment and machinery that we have in best possible way have to be done. The leader has to identify and eliminate inefficient and unnecessary activities. If there is any, those have to be omitted. And the last one is provide more decisive direction of ongoing activity in crisis. If there is any crisis that organization is dealing with, leader has to make sure if there is any chance of decision making, he has to do it in the best possible way because those decisions are going to be critical. And as well as even crisis that time, this decision makers are going to be more even critical. So decisiveness of leader is highly important when it comes to basically weak performance strategies or crisis situation in which the crew is disorganized and cannot do the job properly. So now we already reviewed all of different actions so far that leader can do in terms of deficiencies in first slide. The next slide about these deficiencies are other conditions. Another category that certain leader action is needed to deal with deficiency is leader cooperation and teamwork among members of the group. If you have such a situation, again, leader has to emphasize common interests and encourage cooperation. This is helping the whole team to understand why they are together, why they have to have teamwork. Encourage constructive resolution of conflict and help mediate conflicts. If there are some destructive conflicts that have to be taken care of, or other conflicts have to be arranged and organized. This is another part. Increase group incentives and reduce competition. If the competition is the right competition or a helpful competition, keeping that is all right. Sometimes competition is going to go, again, destructive. There's going to be any conflict and cause some destruction. And for those type of things, you have to make sure you're reducing them, as well as you're creating more incentives for the group to work together in the best possible efficient way. Use symbols and rituals to build identification with the work units. Leader can do this to again help the team to get more identical identity, and use team building activities as well is another set of activities that or action that leader can do to make sure the team job, teamwork, or group relationships are in the best possible way. Another bad condition or deficiency that can happen is the second group here, the second category here in the continuous slide. The group has inadequate resource to do the work. When you have such a problem, leader has to do these. First, requisitions or borrow specific resources needed immediately for the work. Leader has to find a way to provide enough resources. Whether he or she borrows those resources or requisite them, anyway, he has to make sure they are there for the team members, the group members to do the job. Find more basically reliable or alternative resources of supply that gives you a better confidence. Definitely help you to have better resources supply. And basically ration available resources if necessary. This is another basically important action that leader can do. Initiate empowerment project to upgrade equipment and basically facilities, as well as lobby with higher authorities for a larger budget if it's necessary. See, resources and budgets are highly related. If you don't have enough resources, most probably you don't have proper budgeting. So you may need to negotiate as a leader to the higher authority to be able to arrange for more budget for your department or your subordinates or followers or group members. The next one that we're going to deal with is external coordination with other subunits or outsiders is weak. This is another deficiency that may happen in intervening variables that they were supposed to help us to come up with a better result, which is better outcome, effective outcome. Leader may do these actions to take care of these external coordinations and weak external coordinations. The first one is network with peers and outsiders to develop more cooperative relationship. The more the network members are, the higher or the stronger these relationships are, the better it will be for the whole team. Consult more with peers and outsiders when making plans. Again, it will help you to come up with a much better planning and create a better bond with outsiders or other subunits. Keep peers and outsiders informed about changes. That again help them to be all the time aware of what is happening in your system, so better coordination and better relationship will be there. Monitor closely to detect coordination problems quickly. If there is any coordination problem between your unit and others outsider units, if you control the system very well by monitoring it, most probably if there is any bad coordination, you will definitely detect it soon. Meet with peers and outsiders to resolve coordination problems, usually face-to-face discussion with those other parties that they are in relationship and coordination with our unit will definitely help. And negotiate favorable agreement with peers and outsiders for group output. So this is the last action that basically under the poor external coordination with other subunits and outsiders, a leader can do to come up with a better result. So after the last theory that we just had, which is multiple linkage theory, we have cognitive resource theory, which is gonna work on two main variables, which is leader intelligence and leader experience, as well as decision quality, as well as we have another modulator variable called social stress for leader. This is a primary causal relationship in this cognitive resource theory. As you can see, in this cognitive resource theory, the main independent variable is leader intelligence as well as leader experience. These definitely cause a better decision quality, but there are some moderators here that they are actually intervening in this relationship between this independent and dependent variable, and those basically, or maybe that factor is social stress for leader. Let's explain this more. These are the general evaluation of contingency theories. Before going to this, let me explain a little bit more on this cognitive resource theory. As you can see here, the main variable here is intelligence and experience of the leader. So this is how leader traits are. The leader behavior here is directive because he is the one who is making decisions. Situational variables are stress, group, ability, these two. Intervening variable, there is no intervening variable. That's why you don't see any mediator there. And you have a validation result, which is coming up, few studies and some support for this. You don't have a lot of study about this, basically cognitive research theory. Very simple. If you look at here, we're just looking at two independent and dependent variable. Independent variable, leadership, experience, and intelligence and experience, and this is how decisions were going to be made. There's no intervening variable here, which is this leadership, intelligence is gonna create, and then from that you come up with the decision making. Leader is acting as a directive leader, so make decision by himself. So there is no other mediator here. You just have moderator factors that definitely influence this relationship. So look at this table more. In contingency theory, the first one that we had, LPC Contingency Model, leader trait was LPC score of the leader, whether the leader wants to have relationship in high or low. So there is a score over there. Leader behavior, there is no leader behavior. Situational variable is task, structural LM, which is low leader member relationship. Intervening variables, there is no validation result. There are lots of theory studies about this and some support for that. Haskell theory, the second theory that we were discussing, is we are not monitoring on leader trait here at all. We start with leader behavior. We say whether leader has instrumental, supportive, participative, or achievement behavior. Situational variables, there are many aspects as we discussed it there. Intervening variables, expectancies, valences, role, and ambiguities. So you see here we have a situational variable or moderator factor as well as mediator factor or intervening variables. And at the end, validation result, many studies, some support. We had this situational leadership theory, which is the next theory under the contingency theory. No leader trait is going to be discussed. We have leader behavior, task, and relation. So situational variable will be subordinate maturity. No intervening variable, and then at the end, validation result, few study, and some little support as well. Leadership subordinate theory, no trait again, instrumental supportive leader behavior, situational and many aspects, no intervening, and again it is. Have this for other theory. The last three will be multiple-linkage model, the one that we just explained. No traits, maneuvering, more on behavior, lots of behavior possibilities, lots of aspects of situational variables, and intervening variables also are all of these effort, ability up to the end. Few study and inconclusive. We cannot simply, it's not as supported as the top three, and then because the one on top also is not leadership situational, also has the same situation in terms of conclusiveness. We have cognitive resource theory, and we have normative decision theory that we didn't even discuss it today. We just have it here. You see in terms of leader trait, and none for this. This one we just explained, so we go for the last one. Leader behavior here, decision procedures. We have situational variable, many aspects. Intervening variables are decision quality and acceptance among employees, and variable result will be many studies and good support. So as you can see, if you look at these validation results, the higher the support and studies are, the better that theory is going to be in terms of practicality. So this table by itself is going to give you a very nice general evaluation of all of these different contingency theories that we discussed today so far. There are, as usual, some guidelines for managers to use to be able to get the best out of these contingency theories. First of all, maintain situational awareness. This is the first one. Make sure you know everything. You know all of the main important factors in the situation that can definitely influence your decision making and your performance, your behavior. Use more planning for long, complex tasks. The more complicated the task is, the more planning is needed. It definitely makes sense. If you want to do something which is pre-decisions or has been done for a long time, not lots of planning is needed, but the more longer the task is or the more complex it is, the better planning is needed. Consult more with people who have relevant knowledge, clear, provide more direction to the people with interdependent goals. Again, you have to make sure that those people that have more interdependent roles working together and they're highly related on each other, they have more direction, they are not confused, they do the job better. Provide more direction and briefings when a crisis occurs. In critical situation, again, you have to act more directively because crisis means confusion, means uncertainty, means difficulty, means pitfalls, means problems. So you have to make sure you give the proper direction to your employee. Monitor a critical task or unreliable person more closely if you think there is a chance of failure or deficiency. Provide more coaching to an inexperienced subordinate. Quite clear why. You don't want that subordinate to cause any mistakes or problems. Be more supportive to someone with a highly stressful task, simply because they are more vulnerable. They may feel more stressed, so they need more support from leader. As a leader, you have to give them the flexibility, you have to give them more incentive, you have to be more supportive to them, because the job that they're doing is definitely more stressful than others. So this is how the whole chapter is all about. Please ask me if there is any question in the class now. Ladies or gentlemen, if you have any question, please ask. Yes, Mr. Nuristani, I received your group assignment. I will definitely reply your work by tomorrow. Don't worry about that. As far as you send it to my email, I have received it. Don't worry about that. I will definitely send you an noted message to give you this basically acknowledgement. I will definitely acknowledge your email. Don't worry about that. I will go through that. I just went through my email. I just looked at the different groups, close through to whole thing, and I was sure that all of the group members have done this. Okay, as far as Mr. Nuristani came with these questions, I'm going to add this. As well as now we have much more number of students in the class. As you know, this is week 8. You were supposed to all send your work today for this specific course, for making sure that you're not going to receive any penalty on delayed assignment submission. Those that they have done it, definitely they will get. They don't need to be worried. Then I just start work on their assessment. If there are students that they didn't, as I explained, I'm expecting you before or after the class to do so, specifically on this week, the same day. Then you won't get. Each week delay in assignment submission will cost 25% of the whole mark to be waived. So this is just for another basically explanation. These are all for sake of making sure by the end of semester you will receive your mark fast and on time without any problem. So we come back to questions. If there is any question, we have Hadia asking about interdependent roles. Interdependent roles is all about those roles that you need to work with others to be able to handle them. So it's not something you can be absolutely independent and do them. It means you need to work with others. So your collaboration and cooperation with others is significantly important. We call this type of role interdependent role. They're depending on other roles. Okay? I hope that I could answer. Any other questions? If there is any other question, please ask now. If not, as usual, I can ask maybe one or two students to share their understanding so far today, how they understood the whole chapter. And explain a little bit about what the whole chapter was all about. A little bit, just a very comprehensive approach. If there is anybody who's interested, I would definitely give time. Ms. Vidasamy, are you interested to talk about some issues or some basically you want to share your understanding today? Okay, no problem. If there is anybody who's going to talk, I can give the time. Meanwhile, if you have any question, I can answer. If there is no questions and there is nobody who's interested to explain, I mean, we don't have any volunteer, doesn't matter. I can just ask we have LPC, not PLC, and then that would be least preferred coworker. Yes, least preferred coworkers. It's about how you see the workers in the whole basically workplace, how you see the relationship, that you want to be to have that relationship more higher or more task oriented. So that is the rank, rate, and scale. So as I can receive, there's some private questions coming up, and no significant. If there is any other question, you can ask. If not, we can call it a day. If you didn't send me your assignment, make sure that you're sending it by tonight for sure. And definitely you will receive an email from me giving you this acknowledgement that I received your work. So if you didn't receive it so far, don't worry. I will definitely send you that email. The email will be sent to you maximum in 1 or 2 days. Okay, don't worry about that. Okay, thank you all. If there is no more question, we can call it a day. Thanks all for attending the class today. Have a perfect night. And yes, till next class, bye to everybody.